The sun is shining, the weather is sweet. Garden settings, got my drink ready here. And the chicken's gonna go into the barbecue. But speaking of chicken, Tommy Fury, Hasim Rahman, Jake Paul. Who's the biggest chicken of them all? Well, both fights have been cancelled. Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul, and now Jake Paul versus Hasim Rahman have all been cancelled. And who's to blame? Well, I'm going to be discussing that on today's show with the added extra of the upcoming fight between Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua. Not much hype has been going into this fight for whatever reason. This is a heavyweight title fight nonetheless, and it will determine who will be Tyson Fury's next opponent for the much anticipated undisputed heavyweight title fight. So more to be discussed right here on A Dash of Sports. Hi there guys, and welcome to A Dash of Sports episode 57. I'll be your host and presenter Dashiki Dash, and you're now locked into a sports channel that offers you all your sports news, hot topics and trending stories. And if you've watched any previous episodes, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Smash that like button, comment and help me to get these subs up. I truly appreciate it. And don't forget to press the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my shows. Now I know it's been a while, it has been a while, but I had to make my comeback, especially on such a beautiful day. Garden settings, got my juice here ready for later, the barbecue, gonna set that up soon. But I just thought to myself, I need to make my comeback, especially in between the time that I've been away. There's been stories that have come and gone. But before I start, I just want to say thank you to all that have, either sent me messages, spoken to me in person in regards to this show. I truly appreciate the love and support, and believe you me, man, the Dash of Sports ain't going nowhere. We're here to stay, and more stories and hot topics and trending stories to come. So on today's show, I'm going to be discussing Jake Paul versus Hasim Rahman Jr., the fight that was cancelled about a week ago, and what are the ins and outs to that cancellation. And also I'm going to be discussing about Alexander Usyk versus Anthony Joshua. Like, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Jake Paul, is he a chicken that now that he's matched with all of these real boxers, as they're calling them, or is it just more of a business venture trying to protect himself? Now for me, look, I know many people diss Jake Paul, innit? Many people diss Jake Paul, especially the fact that he is venturing into the boxing world, the fighting world, whatever you want to call it. And many people are saying that, he doesn't deserve to be there. He's only there for his, popularity, because, he's a social media mogul and everything like that. But listen, you got to give him his credit. At the end of the day, fighting is fighting. He's going in there. He's putting himself in the ring. Whether these are boxers or former MMA champions, at the end of the day, these are very skilled fighters, and he's going into the ring and he's laying them out. Now, many people have been begging for him to fight a real boxer. And this whole cancellation business of these fights started not with Hasim Rahman Jr., but it started with Tommy Fury. Now, Tommy Fury was meant to be fighting Jake Paul, but apparently some issues in regards to Tommy Fury's entry into the US, maybe about 2 weeks before they were meant to go with their promotion, promoting the fight, should I say. 2 weeks before the fight, they were meant to start promoting the fight. Tommy Fury was not able to get into the US. So they made an executive decision and cancelled that fight. And then a speedy replacement was Hasim Rahman Jr. Now, Hasim Rahman Jr., if you lot don't know, is Hasim Rahman's son, the former heavyweight champion who famously knocked out Lennox Lewis with a one-punch Mickey. So that's Hasim Rahman Jr. Fighting against Jake Paul, and these two are no strangers at all. They've been in the ring together, sparring in previous Jake Paul sparring camps and training camps. Hasim Rahman Jr. has been involved, helping Jake Paul obviously upskill himself in the boxing world. But all of a sudden now they're becoming opponents. Now look, I'm forever going to be giving Jake Paul his credit in regards to being in this boxing world, because he's doing great things. He's picking up the numbers for boxing. He's able to get some of these boxers that don't even get paid as much money in their normal promotional ventures, and they're getting money, they're getting paid. He's definitely a circus unto his own in regards to what he's doing right now, bringing a lot of eyes into the boxing world. But I'm always weary about how things are being done behind closed doors. And like I said, Hasim Rahman Jr. used to be in Jake Paul's fighting camp. So when I heard this, I was just like, okay, it's going to give Jake Paul an opportunity to fight a real boxer, as people have been begging him to do so. But we all know if he's bringing someone from his camp, it's just going to be able to, shed, you're going to keep it in-house, yeah, to put it that way. You're going to keep it in-house. Jake Paul's going to look good because he's fighting against a fighter. Hasim Rahman Jr., he ain't got nothing to lose, because this is going to put himself back into the boxing eyes, especially after his loss in his previous fight. He didn't fare too well. So everybody wins. But egos, this is the issue. Egos. When egos are involved, then ain't nobody going to play ball. Yeah, nobody going to play ball. So this is the issue that's happened right now. As soon as they announced the fight between themselves, the talking has gone back and forth. Obviously, Jake Paul at this particular time, he's undefeated. He's feeling himself. So anybody that he comes up against, he's just, dissing. He's saying whatever he's saying. Now, that's rubbed Hasim Rahman Jr. the wrong way, because he's thinking to himself, hold on a second, I'm, the professional fighter here, the professional boxer, the more experienced boxer. I've been trying to help you out in your boxing camp, even to the point where there are some leaked footages now of Hasim Rahman Jr. sparring with Jake Paul with one hand, which was mentioned in their back and forth. Jake Paul didn't deny it, but just didn't comment back in regards to when Hasim Rahman Jr. was mentioning the fact that he was sparring Jake Paul with just one hand. Now, the footage has now been leaked, especially after the fact that this fight has been cancelled, which I'm going to go into why it got cancelled. So both of the fighters definitely feeding into their egos, have been going back and forth to the point where it's become real heated. And I believe it's derived from the fact that maybe to the point where Hasim Rahman Jr. is just feeling to himself like, hold on a second, you can't be trying to diss me like when I've been banging you up in sparring. But you're out here trying to tell people you can take me out. So along with that, there's been a load of stuff that have interrupted the preparation of this fight, to the point where I've been saying it got cancelled. There've been so many stipulations. There's been a weight stipulation. There's been all kinds of things, like even the money aspect. Hasim Rahman Jr. accepting pretty much the lowest purse that he's ever accepted in his career. This is what he's saying, which I don't know about that. I don't know about the ins and outs of the money situation, but in terms of the exposure, and I knew of Hasim Rahman Jr. Just because of his dad, but I didn't really pick up on where he was in terms of boxing and his skill set and how good he was. Now remember, he's already cancelled with Tommy Fury regarding the whole issue of Tommy Fury not being able to get into the US on a particular date, which I still feel like he could have still given Tommy Fury a little bit more time to sort out his visa issues, but that wasn't to be. Now all of these stipulations with Hasim Rahman Jr., it's just sounding like there's an excuse after an excuse. Anyway, so Jake Paul's cancelled the fight, and then after the initial date, the fight was meant to be on August the 6th. of this year. Hasim Rahman Jr. is then posted up videos of them sparring and him show, banging him up basically in sparring, and then a video then surfaced. All of these videos you can see on Hasim Rahman's Instagram page, and you can go on YouTube as well. Hasim Rahman has then shown him being weighed. So if he was to fight, if they were meant to fight basically, and how much he would have weighed on the day. Now remember, it was on the fight night. The stipulation stated that he could weigh in at a maximum of 215 pounds. And going into the fight, during the fight preparation, it was like 200 pounds. So anything between 200 and 215 pounds. Hasim Rahman weighed in at 206 pounds, which is, I believe, it was in and around acceptable. So it was in and around 205, 206 that Jake Paul was basically saying that, Hasim Rahman needs to be at. And then fight night, they can go up to 215. Mind you, Hasim Rahman is coming down. He's dropping weight, which he accepted. He accepted. And this is where it just baffles me a little bit, because to understand, if Hasim Rahman Jr. has this opportunity to put his name on the map, and he's willing to take the lowest purse, he was willing to drop weight, he's willing to do basically bend over backwards for Jake Paul. Why would Jake Paul's camp or Jake Paul himself try to make it seem like it was Hasim Rahman that's flopped things? This is where I'm trying to figure out what's going on in this back and forth. Who is to blame? This is the question I want to ask. Who is to blame? Is it Jake Paul or is it Hasim Rahman Jr.? And we already know the Tommy Fury situation, and it seems like that was totally out of his hands. But could Jake Paul have given Tommy Fury more time? Who knows? Now this is a situation that we all got to ask ourselves this question. Is Jake Paul running from these professional boxers? Because this is going to be a very, very big test. I will state this again. Jake Paul, I rate him. It's not easy just to go into the ring and do your thing. Look, I've done, some white collar boxing myself. 3-0. And it's not easy. You can't just think to yourself you can just go in a ring and make it happen. So a lot of professionals as well have stated that, in terms of Jake Paul's skill set, he handles his business in the ring. So this would have been a true test. Instead of, bun all the MMA fighters and these basketballers and all these other athletes, we want to see Jake Paul in the ring with a professional boxer just to match up the skills. Let's see how good Jake Paul really is. And with these two potential fights with boxers being cancelled, just kind of shows us maybe you're running scared. Maybe you are, yellow belly, as they say. But we just got to see what happens next. We haven't heard too much from Jake Paul since the cancellation of the fight, but we've been seeing and hearing a lot coming out of the Hasim Rahman Jr. camp. A lot of leaked videos, and obviously the proof of him being in and around the weight that was required for him to fight. So we just got to wait and see what happens and what the developments are coming from Jake Paul and who else he's going to be able to fight. Let me know in the comment sections anyway. Are you Jake Paul fans? Do you like what Jake Paul's doing right now when it comes to boxing? Do you rate Jake Paul? And also, do you think that he's purposely trying to duck these boxers? Let me know what you think in the comment sections and what you think, and I'm definitely going to be revisiting this story because I know that there's a lot more to come out of this whole situation between Jake Paul and Hasim Rahman Jr. And now moving on to the heavyweight clash, the rematch between Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua that's going to be taking place this August the 20th. A fight that, I don't know, I just feel a bit underwhelmed by it really, especially being a rematch. I don't think it's really been, given, I don't feel like it's been giving me that urge to want to watch this fight. I don't know if it's because of the situation that it was meant to be on DAZN, and then You know, it's gone onto Sky Sports. I don't know if it's getting the right push for it. Not many people have been really talking about it or talking it up, but it's a heavyweight fight nonetheless. And remember, this fight is pretty much like an eliminator. You know, whoever wins this fight gets to fight Tyson Fury for the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And I don't know, is Alexander Usyk gonna just repeat what he did the last fight, or is Anthony Joshua going to be able to get his revenge and be able to come out of this a winner, and then to go on to pretty much the mega fight that everybody has been pretty much waiting for? This is the fight that we want to see. We want to see Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. But if he's not able to handle his business against Alexander Usyk, I don't see that fight happening anytime soon, or pretty much I don't think it will happen ever. Now, there's a lot on the line for Anthony Joshua here, and this is not his first dance with defeat. You know, we all know he lost against Andy Ruiz Jr. And we saw how he was able to come back and, you know, adopt a particular style that was not pleasing on the eye, but it was enough for him to get his titles back. And will he adopt something of that kind of cagey, sweet science, as he was calling it, against Andy Ruiz Jr.? Will he adopt a style in particular to be able to get his title back, or is he just going to go out there and pretty much just fight the way we're used to seeing, you know, Anthony Joshua fight? Like, go out there and impose yourself as the heavyweight boxer that you are. But this is no ordinary fighter, as we all seen, you know, the rise of Alexander Usyk. He is a real boxer, no joke. Really fast with his hands, very quick, not your typical heavyweight fighter. I would liken him to, you know, the skill set, the elusiveness to a Tyson Fury. And these are the types of fighters that, you know, cause a lot of problems for boxers that just go out there and they're just on this banging flex. So it's going to be very, very interesting. It's also going to be interesting to see Alexander Usyk, as we all know, in the times that we're in right now, with all the issues happening in Ukraine, with Alexander Usyk offering his services obviously to fight. That kind of derailed his preparation, but he's managed to get through all of that situation. He's committed to the fight. He's you know, seemingly he's ready to fight, but how much of the issues prior to his camp has caused him any problems? Is he going to be the same fighter he was in the last fight, or has he got a lot on his mind? We don't know. He looks like a person, honestly, he does look like a person that not many things faze him. I've seen video clips of him, you know, dancing and joking around, pretty much in a relaxed mood. But at the same time, we're talking about real life situations that has affected millions of people in his country. So we're just going to have to see where his mind's at when it comes to this fight. But for me, like I said, I feel very underwhelmed about this fight. But I believe once we get close to it, then maybe the excitement will come into it. But other than that, yeah, it's just one of them fights. Like, you just think to yourself, you know what it is as well? I'll give you my real personal opinion on this. I feel like the way Anthony Joshua lost in the previous fight, the hype about him has diminished even further. Now, I know, like all boxers, you know, boxing is a game of winning and losing, in it, at the end of the day. I think we should never get caught up about the, you know, the undefeated record and stuff like that. But I truly believe, you know, you have to, it's the way you lose. Yeah, it's the way you lose. The same way, like, you know, we want to see like emphatic wins and, you know, devastating wins. At the same time as well, we don't want to see like cowering losses. Like, you know, like that fight was really, it was a underwhelming fight, a poor display from Anthony Joshua, and it definitely just exposed him in regards to the fighting element to it, the tactics that he had in the fight. That's why, you know, a lot of people were kind of getting onto him about his relationship with McCracken, and that how he should have left him time ago in order to elevate himself into more of an elite status. But I reckon it's like when you're winning, you kind of lose track about how to refine yourself and get better and better. But since then, he has left McCracken and he's moved on to a new training coach. So Robert Garcia, who has taken over Robert McCracken, two Roberts, he pointed out a lot of things to Anthony Joshua, a lot of mistakes that it was all clear to see in it. We don't even need to be professional trainers to see the type of mistakes that Anthony Joshua made in that fight. Anthony Joshua went around scouring for trainers, had a lot of camps, small mini camps, should I say, with different trainers, and to the point where he settled with Robert Garcia, who he feels is the perfect trainer for him going into this fight against Alexander Usyk, and who knows, even beyond that. But I think it's a brilliant move from Anthony Joshua, one that he needed to have made, I feel, and believe that he should have done that time ago. But you can only go with what you feel is best at the time, and lucky enough that he's not being stubborn enough to just think to yourself, oh, this is the best way, my way or the highway. He's actually established. He's been in a position where to rethink and go back to the drawing board and just look, I need to make changes, and these are the changes I need to make. And here we see Robert Garcia in the ranks, in his team, helping him for this Alexander Usyk fight. But let me know what you think, though. Do you think that this whole trainer situation, the change, is going to make a difference to Anthony Joshua? Also, who's going to win the fight? Who will win this fight, Usyk or Anthony Joshua? Well, if I was a betting man, do you know what? Many people think that Usyk is going to win, and I just feel like there's something that's just telling me that Anthony Joshua is going to apply himself differently in this fight, and he's going to impose himself as the true heavyweight that he is, and I think he's going to knock him out. I truly believe that he's going to knock him out. Now, this is coming from a guy, I'm not the biggest Anthony Joshua fan, but I just feel like he's got a big motivation with that Tyson Fury fight, and if he doesn't take Alexander Usyk out, he's going to miss out on such a mega fight. So my money, if I was a betting man, my money would be on Anthony Joshua. But for those that think otherwise, let me know. Put your comments down below and let me know who will win that fight. Will it be Alexander Usyk or will it be Anthony Joshua? And with that being said, I'm going to leave it there for today, but thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of A Dash of Sports. That's episode 57. I truly appreciate your love and support with that. And if you need further information about future episodes or just your day-to-day sporting updates, then mate, come and check me out, man. I'm on Instagram and I'm also on Twitter. I'll leave the link here down below and I'll also put it in my description area. And please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Smash that like button, comment, and help me to get these subs up. And don't forget my other show, A Dash of Sports, the Premier League show. That's where I give you all the roundups of all the games week by week. I'll give you all the information about pre-games and also post reactions of games. So don't forget to check that out. Press the notification bell so that you don't miss out on that show. With that being said, till the next time here, peace.